and I was literally riding with bicyclists, so people without motors, and this bike was going 3 miles per hour for about 2 hours. No overheating, no issues. Like it's just a great bike. It's just a great bike. Shout out to all my tall, large riders out there, tall and large riders. Shout out to all my riders in general, but this video is especially for our tall and large riders. I know there are not many videos dedicated to us, me being someone who is 6'2" and can be 225 on any given day. Most motorcycles are made for our lovely people who are about 5'8" and a lot thinner. If you think about MotoGP riders, most of them tend to not be very tall, and a lot of bikes are, I mean, that's the professionals of, you know, riding, so a lot of bikes are made more towards their side when it comes to sport bikes and naked bikes and things like that. So I hope this video, and I believe this video, is going to bring you some value. I ask that you do like and subscribe if it does bring value to you. You know, talk to me in the comments, drop something if it hits you. So yeah, hopping in the video, once we get on this road safely, I'm gonna first talk about performance for the SV650. And as to why I think it would be great for tall and large riders. From a performance standpoint, weight is not really going to be an issue. Like I said, I'm 225 pounds, but I've also had heavy, or let's not say that, that don't sound right. I've also had passengers on the back that will make the bike heavier, of course, because I'm adding to the weight. I've had upward, I'll say about 420 pounds on this motorcycle at one time before, if you include my weight and my passengers, my heaviest passengers' weight, and no issue at all. Like, this bike it just feels great. It doesn't feel any different than the normal changes that happen when you have a passenger on the back. So from a pure power perspective, your weight is not going to be a factor. Now, from a performance perspective, when it comes to height, because it is a naked bike and there is no windshield here, you will notice some issues on the highway above 75 miles per hour, in terms of the wind potentially being a little overwhelming, and definitely a little draining and tiring if you're riding longer than, Lord have mercy, Jesus, we almost saw that on camera. If you're riding longer than 30 minutes at 75 miles an hour, and you will likely find it more comfortable in 6th gear, even though this can do it in 5th gear. But just something to understand, that will be tiring. So if highway is more what you're looking for as a newer rider that is large or tall, I would actually recommend something like the R7. It's a fairing, it's a bike with fairings. It is newer, so it's going to be a lot more expensive than getting something like this. I got this used, but that would probably be the best option I would say is out there for someone who is taller, but is going to be on the highway doing speeds of 75 or more most of the time, unless in the sport bike, naked bike category. Of course, there's adventure bikes that are made for our taller riders and stuff like that, but if you want a sport bike, adventure bike, if you want a sport bike, naked bike, I would suggest that the R7 for highway stuff. For anything under 75 miles per hour, it's going to be very hard to beat this from a performance standpoint. It has narrow tires, so what that means is you don't have to bend as far when you're turning. So like a bike with really fat tires is going to have to lean a lot to make the same turns that this bike will do. This is amazing in the corners. This is amazing in the city. It doesn't run hot at all. One thing you will run into with sport bikes is that they do tend to run hot, particularly your larger engine sport bikes run hot, and they get a little overheated when you're sitting in traffic like this. This can sit here all day long, no issue. I love it for that reason. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but the best way for me to kind of communicate how this bike feels once you get comfortable with it is Aang, or Aang, depending on the way you pronounce it, has like this little ball of wind, and he like kind of rides on it, and it just seems like part of him. That's how this bike feels. Like, I feel like I can do anything on this motorcycle, and it's like just a part of me, and I think that's a great thing about riding on this bike, particularly if you are a taller rider. So performance wise, anything under 75 miles an hour, whether you have a passenger on it, whether you're going through the rain. I've been through the rain on this bike many times, no issue. You can see plenty of videos on that. I've taken this to the track. I have a video on that. This was great on the track, other than I would have liked to have clip-ons as opposed to handlebars. I did prefer riding the R7 at the track because the ergonomics is made to be a track bike, but for the most part we're just talking about, that's another naked bike. For the most part we're just talking about, you know, a normal rider on a normal, you know, day, going to work or going to the store or going to your friend's house, your auntie. I love this bike for that. Miles per gallon wise, also from a performance standpoint, like, it's great on miles per gallon. It is a small tank. It's a very narrow tank. So for our larger riders, it's going to be good to kind of have a narrow tank to get used to everything. Miles per gallon, though, it's excellent. It's going to be 45 miles per gallon to 55 is what I've seen. The only issue with the miles per gallon is because it's a small tank, it does not carry as much gas. So the miles per gallon is great, but you may still have to fill up more often just because the tank is smaller. So, but based on the owner's manual, this bike can also take 87, and that's what I put in it. 87 ethanol in America. I don't know how that translates to the UK, but it's excellent for me, and it saves me a lot of money. By far my cheapest vehicle. I have a car, of course, which is fuel efficient, and I have a Honda, a 2002 Honda VFR 800. This is by far my most fuel efficient vehicle. Is not even close. Mine is still bone stock. Like I said, I feel like I have all the maneuverability in the world. I have no issues with, you know, moving this thing around. It's just amazing. From an ergonomics perspective, I will say it depends on how long your legs are, because you know you have some people who are very tall upper torso, but from the leg position is not very tall. My legs, I think the inseam is like 34 inches, and I'm 6'2". The only issue I ever have is that sometimes, because the foot peg is back here, as you can see, the foot peg's back here, but my knee is up here. That can be a little annoying, but that's kind of a sport bike thing. If you want more relaxed leg position, you'll need Sport Tourer, or you will need like an adventure bike or a cruiser. But from the sport bike category, this has treated me pretty well, and I've enjoyed it. I still wouldn't say this is the most comfortable bike, but that's just how the ergonomics are for me. It's not the most comfortable, but it is very easy for me to ride. Also, in terms of being a heavier rider, you're going to put, of course, more weight on the seat. When I ride this, not only do I have my long pants, but I like to put shorts on, and that gives me all the comfort I need, and that feels good. If I don't do that, my butt does get tired and sore, and it can be a pain, so to speak. So I will point that out. I do suggest you wear shorts with, you know, some long pants here. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. But it is a good thing to consider. So that's ergonomics. We talked about the power and the performance. Now, of course, most people riding a motorcycle care about the cool factor and the looks. I do think this is a very pretty bike. You may look a little large on it. I have gotten that comment multiple times. I don't really care, frankly. Like I said, most motorcycles are just not made for taller riders, and they're not made like Batman's bike or the Tron Legacy bike to make you look really cool. If you're huge, like they're made to make you look real great if you're 5'8". So being someone who is 6'2", I am going to look large, especially in the winter when I have my winter coat. I just look like a large man on this bike, and that's okay because it's my bike. From a practicality standpoint, for a new rider, this bike can take a hit, as you can see here. The bike is, being a naked bike, you're not going to really find a bike that's easier to do your maintenance on, such as your chain, your oil changes, your clutch and brake maintenance. It's just going to be a very easy bike in that sense. It's not going to give you a lot of headaches. Like I said, the miles per gallon is very good. It can take a hit. The engines are known to be bulletproof. They're very well made vehicles, very well made machines. So there's really, it's extremely practical if you're a new rider, and it is something that I would argue is a perfect city bike as well. The only time it's not the most amazing bike in the world is if you're on it for a very long period of time, or you're supposed to be at speeds above 75. Like, this was supposed to be a step towards my dream bike, and it was just like a practical move for me to make so I could be the best rider possible. And I feel like this bike did make me, like, let's watch out for this. I feel like this bike did help me be like the best rider I could, given the circumstances. Like, you're not going to be winning drag races on this, but you know, for the experience I have, I'm a bad man going through the corners. I'm pretty good doing parking lot, slow speed maneuvers. I've ridden this bike on the track, scraping peg, before I learned my body positioning better. But I've also ridden this bike for a multiple sclerosis charity event and awareness event, and I was literally riding with bicyclists, so people without motors, and this bike was going 3 miles per hour for about 2 hours. No overheating, no issues. Like, it's just a great bike. It's just a great bike. I've never had any issues with this bike at all. So yes, I hope that has helped you taller, larger riders out there. The weight will never be an issue on this bike, from what I've seen, and your height will only become an issue if your legs are just super long, and you have knee discomfort, because you'll be able to fit on the bike, but and as you see, it's not, the handlebar is not going to touch your knee anytime soon, but it's more like, are you comfortable having your knee over your toes, which is, it's just more of a ergonomic question. And other than that though, like, it's just a great bike. So I hope this has helped you. If you do like videos, like particularly our tall and large riders, if this video brings value to you, please let me know, and I'll work on doing more tall and large rider reviews, because I know there's not a lot out there for us. Without further ado, I love y'all. You have a great week, and I'll see you next one. Peace.